Hello, namaste. Me Madhav Kafle.
Me, Priska Bastola.
And me, Pushpa Sunar, MPhil Scholar 2022, Department of STEAM Education, Kathmandu University.
Today we are going to discuss about the reflective practice and its components. First of all, I will discuss about what is reflective practice. Reflective practice is the way of continuously learning new skills and behavior. Continuous learning is the process of continuously acquiring new knowledge, skills, and behavior throughout the one's lifetimes. This can include formal education, training, and on-the-job learning, as well as self-directed learning and informal learning opportunities. Then next one is reflective practice, similar to a performance appraisal. We will reflect on our achievements and failures and identify areas where we need to improve. The practice will help us not only identify problems areas, but they learn from past mistakes as well as. Next one is reflective practice is the process of thinking about analyzing one's actions, decisions, and interaction with others to better understand and improve one's professional practice. It can be done individually or groups and can take many forms such as discussing with colleagues or reflecting on the studies. It is the considered of key component of continuous professional development and is used to many fields such as education fields, health field, social field, and management as well. Next one is ways of reflective practice. Two philosophers, John Dewey and Donald Scons, had recognized three ways of reflective practice. First one is reflecting on actions. Second one is reflecting actions. And third one is reflection for actions. Reflection on action is about on our past actions to identify areas for improvement and increase learning. Next one is reflective in actions. Is reviving or what we're doing and present and making change as well as along the lessons. At last one is reflective for actions. It is making better decision for the true based on conclusion drawn from past and current problems. Now, reason for reflective practice. Improving and developing teaching and learning is an ongoing process that can be achieved through the various means such as continuous professional development and collaborations. All of these elements are interconnected and can be used together to continuously improve and develop teaching and our learning methods. Next one is accommodating change. It is an important aspect of the reflective practice process. It allows individuals to adopt and adjust their practice in response to new information, experience, or feedbacks. Next one is complying with regulatory system is an important aspect of many professions, fields including education, healthcare, finance, etc. Regulatory systems are put in place to ensure that practitioners meet certain standards of competence, ethical behavior, and safety, and otherwise. Now over to Priska ma'am.
Now, coming down to the components of reflective practice. Many scholars have identified different components of reflective practice, but the one identified and labeled by Nelson and Sadler in 2013, it includes four basic components or the four major components. The first being stimulus. Stimulus means what is causing you to reflect. There has to be something that causes us to reflect on our practices. So it refers to the context of the initial problem that triggers an act of reflection. And that stimulus takes us towards the path of solution. There could be many elements of experience as surprise and unforeseen activities. So the main focus of the result of the stimulus is to improve one's own existing practice. Second is the content on what you are reflecting. There are many content or areas on which we can reflect as practitioners, as teachers, as professionals, as researchers. So we need to identify which area we need to focus on during our reflective process. The third is the process. It is one of the most vital part or component of reflective practice because it is the way uh, by how we are reflecting on our practices. So, identified by Dewey in 1993, what he says is the central to this process are the attitudes of open mindedness, responsibility, and wholeheartedness. The person, whoever reflects on his or her practice, needs to be open minded. So Sean even identified a cycle where we need to identify the problem, then reframe it, then experiment it, and then to work towards the solution of the problem. Final component is the outcome. Why you are reflecting. We need to answer this question because reflection is the process by which we can bring about change in our existing practice. So this needs to be identified. Over to Pushpa ma'am.
Thank you, Priscilla, ma'am. So it's my turn. And now I'll be talking about how can a professional be a reflective practitioner. Like first, we are from different backgrounds. One of our sir is a researcher, and another partner is she is a clinician. She is a doctor, and then I am a teacher. So, being a professional, how can we practice our reflective practice to improve our practice? So you can see there, essential practice for becoming a reflective practitioner are, first of all, we need to making time for solitary reflection. So whichever profession you are, the first thing that you need to do is you need to make time for solitary reflection. Until you take the time out, you don't remember what you are doing and you forget the thing. So secondly, becoming a perpetual problem solver. So, every day we face so many problems in our life. And if we ignore our problems and just move on, that will not help us. So how do we reflect? So this is one of the major components, becoming a perpetual problem solver. We need to think upon what caused the problem and how can we solve this problem. So likewise, questioning the status quo. One of the major components of reflective practice means we know how we can become a reflective practitioner is by questioning our own existing practice, our own action, how we have been doing. What are we doing? Are we doing good? Are we doing right thing? Are we doing the right practice? Whatever we are doing. So we need to focus on our own action as well. We need to reflect on our own action as well so that we can become a reflective practitioner. It is said by Larvey, 1999. So what are the essential practices again? So making time for solitary reflection. As a teacher, when do I have to reflect? Me as a teacher, I think I should reflect at the end of the day. If anything that goes wrong, I'll note it down immediately. Otherwise, once a week, we need to reflect on everything that goes on the class and so that we can improve our own practice. For example, there might be a certain incident that might need some, problem solving. We need to solve that particular problem. So what do? We note it down. We think about the possible ways that how we as a teacher can solve that particular problem, and then we work with a plan, and then we try to implement the plan and see the difference that makes with the plan, if it works and if it solves our problem. Likewise, so becoming a perpetual problem, as I've already said, that as a teacher, we face lots of problems because we have a diverse group of students in the class. So there are so many problems that comes in the classroom. So as a teacher, it is our responsibility to address the need of the children. So whenever we face any problem, we need to try different ways to solve our problems. So it is very necessary for reflecting practice to solve our problem as well. So here you can see this. Likewise, as a teacher, I also question myself: am I doing justice to my students? Am I giving them the right way of learning, or am I just instructing them to read and write? So being a teacher, I need to reflect on my own practice. So now I would like my friend to please go up on how can she be a medical practitioner here. professional reflective practitioner.
Yes.
Ma'am, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Making time for solitary reflection for a medical professional is difficult. As for other professionals, it is more difficult for us because we need to constantly think about the patient every time we do our work. But still, as mentioned by Sean, the reflection in action and reflection on action are two things that we can utilize and take out our time to reflect upon our activities that we did in our daily life. So as a result of which we can identify the issues and problems, and we can ponder upon it and come down to a solution. So the second, being a perpetual problem solver, we cannot rest on the fact that the whatever we are doing is good for our own practice and for the patient. No, we need to constantly think about what kind of practice we are doing, and we need to identify issues within it and try and solve it, so that it is by the process of reflection that we can come down to the solution of these problems. And finally, questioning our status quo, as ma'am rightly said, that we need to identify whether we are doing justice to our patients and to the caretakers of the patients and people whom we are working with. Unless and until we do not question these activities of ours, we do not come down to a solution of problem, and we do not change our practice for better. Over to Madhav, sir.
Okay. As a being a head of research consultancy, I have faced many obstacles during the research activities, each and every proposals. I should see the research methods, data collection and analysis, and the broader implication of the findings. There is a lot of problems. Government and non-government organizations are seeking good research consultancy with highly academic experts. We have planned to apply different themes, but first we are unable to get highly qualified, energetic expertise. This is the main problem in our research programs. There is a lot of chance to get good opportunities, but we are unable to apply these documents. So, in reflective, as a researchers, I want to change these topics. Okay, Pushpa.
Okay, thank you. That's all we have. So, in the conclusion, we need to present a few things that we need to remember for reflecting on our own practice to become a reflective practitioner. So, as we conclude, reflection has to be a habit. Until unless we adapt it as a habit, we don't remember to reflect on our practice. So, likewise, reflection as a process. It is a process. For example, reflection can be done at times, maybe after the work is done, and or maybe while doing the same work. So it has to be a process. It has to be a way of doing and knowing as well. Likewise, reflection as transformation. This is one of the major components. Until and unless we reflect on our own practice, we cannot transform our practice. So this is one of the major components. We need to transform our practice as well. So here we conclude by saying this. These are our references. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
I think